Welcome to the Mindset Architect Podcast, where it's all about creating the life you want, the business you want, and making a real difference. Join us in unlocking the code to true success. And now your host, Tony Caliendo, Master Coach with reTHINK Coaching.
Welcome to the Mindset Architect Podcast, episode number 63. I'm Tony Caliendo, Master Coach here at reTHINK Coaching. And as always, I want to start by thanking you for your time and spending your time and investing it with me. Time is our greatest asset, and the fact that you're willing to share some of your time with me truly means a great deal. Today, I want to dive in a little bit and talk about something that we're seeing coming up. And I think it's just based upon the time of year, all the strategizing, planning, business plans, all of that stuff that we're doing can be creating this mindset or this thought process. And I just want to talk to you about it today, make you aware of it, and invite you to do something different about it, because here's what I know can and does happen often. We write these amazing business plans. Amazing. I've seen it happen. I've seen it happen sometimes with some of my newer clients, where one of the first things we do is create a plan or revise the plan that they might have. And when I look at the plan versus what they're doing, they're completely different. They're not following the new plan. They wrote this beautiful plan, were super excited about it, and then just went back to leaning into what they've always done and always known, because it's a place of certainty. And that is one of my greatest sadnesses, to watch that happen to really intelligent people that know how to create a path forward, that actually do it and spend the amount of time that we need to spend in creating a business plan. I know that's not easy. I do one every year for multiple businesses. It's not the easiest thing. It takes time and effort. And then we put it away. And we hope that magically it's going to somehow fly off the paper, come out on the screen at us or whatever, and just magically show up in what we do without putting any effort or energy behind it or intention. And I always say this is we've got to breathe life into that business plan. Having it on a piece of paper or electronically stored is doing you zero good, other than it created some excitement for a moment, and now you're back off to the races doing what you've always done. I also think that the timing of when we create business plans could be partially responsible for this, because we're typically doing business plans now, the month of October, November, that time frame. We're making our plans for the upcoming year, and we're also gearing up for the holiday season. And we think that that plan can wait until January. And I talked about this in one of our other podcasts, is if you have any kind of a sales cycle, meaning I meet a client today and it's going to take 30, 60, 90 days for them to perform on a contract. So if it's a buyer or a seller or one of your clients, that if we wait until January, we're putting ourselves behind the eight ball. So that beautiful business plan that you wrote needs to be brought to life today. And I know that we're still following last year's, but honestly, last year is over. And it's time to enforce the new strategies or the enhanced strategies that you brilliantly created. So I want to talk about this concept of, we either show up one of two ways as we're looking to move forward. We either cling to certainty or we embrace possibility. And putting your business plan into action is embracing possibility. Writing a business plan and going back to what you've always done is embracing certainty. And I just want you to consider that for a minute, how powerful it can be if you lean into the possibility. And the way that we're going to do that is by following the strategies and the plan that you created for your upcoming year. If you're someone who's got the same thing year after year, or maxed out on their income year after year after year, I'm going to suggest that you're living into the cling to the certainty, which I'm not going to lie, it feels good. Like clinging on to activities that you know the outcome, you know how to do them, you feel really comfortable doing them, creates a lot of certainty. And that fulfills one of our basic human needs. But the reality is we got to get out of that if we're going to grow into a different direction with our business, if we're going to move our income up, if we're going to move our production up, if we're going to grow a team, dissolve a team, whatever it is that you've got in your business plan, we've got to get out of this space of certainty. Because you see, if you stay and cling to certainty out of fear or just defaulting, right? Because over 90% of what we do is conditioned habitual behavior. So it's only natural for your brain to seduce you back into clinging to what you've always done, that certainty. But when you do that, it impacts your decision making. And what ends up happening is when something comes up, a circumstance, right? Need to find a buyer, need to find a seller, need to find a new contract, a new client, a new whatever it is, when that comes up, our brain is really crafty in saying, hey, we know how to get there. Go back to this tried and true way. And it happens automatically. It happens, and we don't even know it's happening unless we're staying in the space of possibility. So it really does impact your decision making and your mindset. If we cling to certainty, it creates doubt about what's possible. It creates doubt about embracing the new possibility. Again, it's the brain's way of really kind of protecting you. It thinks it's doing a really bang up job of protecting you by creating doubt, by creating the ease of defaulting back to your old behaviors. Now, the other end of the spectrum, if we decide to embrace what's possible, which I'm hoping you all are doing just because you wrote a business plan, you get to stay in a position of trust. You're trusting that that new plan you wrote that is creating a new space of possibility for you is going to work when we embrace it. We are going to believe more that it's possible because we've got the evidence that we need. We've got the pathway that we need. We've got the GPS coordinates that we need to get to that new destination right in front of us. And if you are willing to just stay in a position of embracing what's possible, it's amazing how you trust more than going back to clinging to what you've already done and already known. Now, I'm not going to say we're going to, ditch everything we know, because honestly, most business plans are just making an enhancement to what we've already know and that's working, or adding some things, but we have to stay in the position or the mindset that it's possible. So that is number one, is just make that decision. Where do you want to be? When do you want to be in this, like, I'm clinging on to certainty out of just overwhelming fear and the unknown, or am I going to run into this space that I get to embrace what's possible by what my brilliant mind created and wrote down or typed in or whatever you did your business plan on, that created that space of everything that is possible. Now, the other thing that's beautiful when you stay in a place of embracing the possibility is that it really does change your level of creativity. It enhances your resilience and your adaptability. All right, because you're willing to think differently because of what you've created in terms of what's possible for you. And I love that. That openness can really lead you to the new opportunity that you desire in the business plan that you wrote. That space of creativity allows you to be a lot more innovative about solutions, because let's be honest, if our business plans were going to work 100% and it was just going to be easy sailing, because we wrote a business plan, we'd all be a lot wealthier and we'd all be in a different place with our goals. But the reality is we're going to come up against some problems. Yet when we stay in the space of embracing what's possible, we can turn those problems into opportunities. We can become really innovative about the solution we're going to create that allows us to continue moving forward to what's possible. Here's where the brain can say, hey, that's really not working. Just go back to what you've done. It's safe there. And we need a result right now. And this new way is not working. So you're going to put your whole business at risk. That's what probably some of the thoughts are going to be going on an unconscious level in your mind. Stay in the space and trust that it is possible because you've created it. And I firmly believe whatever you create is possible for you. Now, there's some risk, right? If you decide to cling on to certainty, I like I said earlier, I'm not going to lie, it feels good because it's kind of autopilot. Don't have to really think about it. May not be getting us the results we want, but we're getting some results. And it's keeping us in our comfort zone. So there's a lot of things about staying in that place of certainty, but there's a lot of risk. There's a lot of risk of that. What can happen is you lose your drive for the new goal, right? If we're going to say, hey, forget it, I'm just going to go back to what I've always known, that place of certainty, you can't go back to what you've always done and expect a different result. So you are at risk of losing your drive, or at risk at losing that commitment that you have and move more into a coast autopilot position. And you know how I feel about coasting. We're eventually going to run out of speed or steam and we're going to start to slide backwards. Coasting is really not an option, but when you cling to certainty, you're kind of embracing it. You can grow stagnant. Think about it. I think that's the one thing that has kept me in this industry for as long as it has. I've been in the real estate industry in some capacity since 2001, licensed in 3 different states, leadership roles, investor opportunities, coaching full time now for 14 years. And it has kept me from becoming stagnant when I lean into what's possible, right? If you had to do the same thing day after day after day after day, then it can become where you grow stagnant. You're not seeing any growth, maybe a little slippage backwards, but you're okay with it because you're not failing. And your business grows stale. You'll feel it. Your clients will feel it. If you have a team, your team will feel it. It just will happen. So there's a risk of staying in that safe space of certainty. You're going to also put yourself at risk for fearing the change, and you're going to honestly miss a ton of opportunity. And that's the danger part of this, because you won't even know you've missed the opportunity because you're doing what you've always done. So being in that space of being afraid to take risk and moving into the possibility is going to create the space for you to miss opportunity, because quite honestly, you're not even aware of the opportunities you're missing because you've turned that possibility off and you've gone back to doing what you've always done, which do what you've done and get what you've always gotten, right? So if you do the same thing and are expecting a different outcome, I've got news for you. That is truly the definition of insanity. But if I do something different, I can actually create a different result. So move out of that. There's an importance of embracing the possibilities because you can become much more mindful of your thoughts. Think about it. If you're living in the excitement of your future and you're living in the excitement of what you believe can happen in the next 12 months, then you can control more of the thoughts that you're going to have. I've said this before, we have on average 60,000 thoughts a day. And if I move to the space of certainty, I am creating a lot more negative of thinking what can't happen. If I stay in the space of embracing what's possible, I'm actually going to have more thoughts about what's possible and start to calm those thoughts that the brain's trying to get us to have about what's not possible and going back to certainty. Also, when you're embracing possibility at a really high level, you're going to reframe your challenges. You're not going to be like, oh my God, it didn't work. I'm done. What a waste of time. You're not going to do that. You're really going to spend more time in, okay, this is a challenge, right? Or this isn't working, yet I still believe it's possible. I just need to reframe it and say that this challenge is going to teach me something. And at the end of it, I'm going to be so freaking proud of myself. I'm going to have absolutely blown my mind at the opportunities I get to create for myself when I hold on to what's possible. And it will do this other fabulous thing for you when you embrace the possibility. And that is, it keeps you in a space of momentum because you're moving towards what's possible versus ratcheting back to settling for what you've already done. So staying in that space of momentum is huge. Also, you're going to have flexibility and adaptability when you stay in a place of possibility. And why is that? Because the brain, if you go back to a place of certainty and you just kind of give up, the brain's going to create fear. If you heard this in some other podcast, I just want you to hear it again. There are 2 sections of our brain, and not to get too into the muck of it all, but just know that there's a part of your brain that's still primitive, that still operates out of fear, that still operates on, I got to protect this guy that's walking around. He's walking around in the body. I'm trying to control what he thinks and does, because he doesn't know better than me, and I'm going to create some fear. So he goes back to what we know works, or what he's always done, or we don't leave the cave to go get food because it's too dangerous. Whatever it is, there's a part of our primitive brain that will come up big time if you do not embrace what's possible. That business plan you created is what's possible. That business plan you created is the clear path forward. It is creating the GPS coordinates for your brain to get you to where you want to go and allow you to take the actions necessary to get there. So staying in that place of possibility is huge. Now, you might ask yourself, well, I created this plan, but I don't know if I'm worth it. I don't know if it's really possible. I've never done it. I've cast big, great business plans before, only to end up disappointed and to end up where I was the previous year. And then I'm okay with that because I didn't fail or go backward. And so what I'm going to say about possibility is, number one, find someone who's doing right now what you want to do. So if it's more production, if it's a higher sales price, if it's more listings versus buyers, whatever it is that you want to achieve in this new possibility space, your business plan, find somebody who's already doing it, find somebodies who are already doing it, and ask them for a coffee, ask them for a Zoom call, ask them for 10 minutes just to talk to them and learn from them what they did. Because what's going to happen is your brain's going to go, oh, it is possible. I don't have to be afraid of it anymore. I don't have to make you afraid of it anymore. So therefore we can now move forward because we see that it is possible and it's safe. And that is one of the better things that you can do. The other thing I'm going to tell you to do is hire a reTHINK coach. I've had a great conversation with one of my clients that I've had the privilege of coaching for, probably 8-9 years now. And, no lie, the past 2 years have been different. And on one of our most recent coaching calls, he said to me, what I really appreciate about our coaching partnership is not only the business strategies and the thought strategies, it's that I have someone in my corner that believes in me 100% of the time when I don't always believe in myself. And when I get into a space of not believing, I know I can hear your words in my mind, which kind of scares me. I can hear your voice and I know that you believe in me. And that gives me the courage to step into the unknown. That gives me the courage to do things that make me uncomfortable. That gives me the courage to get out of my comfort zone just because I know that you believe that I can do it. So hiring and working with a reTHINK coach is really going to help you on this new journey of embracing the possibility. And then I'm going to go back to, which I think is one of the solutions to a lot of our challenges, is journaling. And part of my journaling practice to stay in the space of embracing what's possible, I write my goal out every single day in my journal. It is one of the journal entries that I write out every single day. I know what my goal is. I have said it to myself. I will say it out loud. I will write it down. I share it with as many people as I can because that's breathing life into it. And that's letting me stay in the space of what's possible because I've said it. I've said it. So you're hitting a lot of the senses, right? You've seen it. You've thought it. You're saying it. You've heard it. It really makes the difference. So in your journaling activities, I would say, write out your goals. Write them out, write them out, write them out every single day, sometimes multiple times a day. I remember I was at a conference one time and this was an old C-suite, so an executive, a chief level position at Southwest Airlines was speaking to our group. And he said, back in the day when Southwest was really just regional and it was going, just in Texas and then Texas and Oklahoma, just very, very little. He set a goal of having X amount of planes by a certain date. And he did exactly this. He stayed in the space of possibility versus saying, well, it's okay, we're regional, we're very profitable, it works great, people love us. He had a bigger vision. And he had a bigger vision of what was possible. And I remember him sharing that he wrote his goals down every day. They were on the wall, they were in his office, they were everywhere that he could have them. And what he did that was really important is he shared them with anybody that would listen, even if you didn't want to hear it. He shared stories that he'd run into associates in the hallway, share the goal with them. He would run into associates in the break room, share the goal with them. Run into associates in the employee cafeteria, share the goal with them. He talked about it all the time. And that insulated him staying in the space of what's possible, because what he didn't do was write this great business plan and put it away. He couldn't. He was talking about what was possible every single day. And that is what allowed, one of the things that I believe truly allowed Southwest to grow to the business that it is, because he embraced what was possible and didn't fall prey to embracing the certainty. He was willing to take the risk and put himself out there. So if you've set a new little gnarly goal for yourself, and I love setting goals that make me a little nauseated, share it. Who have you shared it with? If you've got a spouse or a significant other, share it with them. If you've got a team or you've got some peers in your office that you feel comfortable talking to, share it with them. Spend some time sharing your goals, talking about it. I've been doing that more and more with reTHINK coaching and just putting it out there. And one of my coaches actually has this stand up and share our goals, our finances, our financial position, income earned year to date. So we're putting it out there and then saying where we are supposed to be. So we're creating that space of possibility. It really does change everything. For me, it's been a game changer. And at first I had to move beyond that it was being a braggart, because I was raised by a very middle, sometimes lower middle, sometimes upper middle, but very middle class family. And we didn't talk about things like that. You didn't talk about money, you didn't talk about religion, and you didn't talk about politics, which I wouldn't mind if we came back to that at some point. But I wasn't raised to do that. And so there was part of me that was like, God, how arrogant, how horrible of a person do you sound like when you're talking to people about you're making 7 figures in this area of your business? And maybe they're not. Maybe they can't think that big, or they're making more, right? But it was a mindset for me to work through, for me to share my goals with others. So I have zero issue with talking about my goal. And I have zero issue telling people if I'm on the right path or if I've fallen behind, because that's just the truth. And I want to stay in the space of what's possible versus going back to what I've done. Listen, I have a comfortable life. Do I have to grow financially every year? No, I don't. I don't have to. I choose to, because my financial freedom goals are big. My desire to do what I want, when I want, with whoever I want is big. And so I will grow financially every year. And it's not just to accumulate money, it's to be able to do things for others and to be able to do the things that I want to do. So I'm going to invite you to think about what it would look like for you to embrace your possibility versus, right, our other choice of clinging to the certainty. You get to choose. Whichever one you choose is what you're going to receive. And there's going to be moments as you go on this journey, especially, a month into it, 2 months into it, 3 months to it, where you get uncomfortable and the temptation will be to just default back to what you've done. But you've got to trust in your plan, especially if you've met with other people who are doing what you want to do, showing you that it is possible. You've hired one of either myself or one of our fabulous coaches here at reTHINK Coaching to share in the space of believing for you and also help you with your business and thought strategies as you move forward, because that is what allows you to stay in the space of possibility. As always, team, if you got any questions, please reach out. I'm happy to help you out. Tony at rethinkcoaching.com. You can find me on all of the social media outlets. Just search for me, Tony M. Caliendo on Instagram, Tony Caliendo on Facebook. You can find me, I promise. Reach out if you got a question. Also, think about enrolling in our fabulous 6-week mindset and goal sprint. It positions you to pick a goal that you can focus on for the next 6 weeks. And we take you on a journey from picking that business strategy and infusing it with mindset strategies that help you continue to move forward towards making that goal in 6 weeks. Now, some of the goals we can't make in 6 weeks, but we can create the pathway forward and start seeing progress and movement forward in those 6 weeks. So I'd invite you to think about the 6-week goal and mindset sprint. It's a really great group coaching program where you get a massive amount of content worth thousands of dollars. And that is not what we charge for the program. So go to rethinkcoaching.com, take a peek at the group coaching section and see if that is something that would benefit you. I know people who are in the program right now, and they're starting to see just results from changing their thought strategies. I'd love to see you there. If you got questions about it, want to talk, reach out to me as well. All right, guys and gals and everyone else, we will see you in a week. Make it a great one. If you enjoyed listening to this podcast, you must come check out the Mindset Architect Group Coaching Program. It's our monthly program where we explore the power of your mindset, help you identify what you truly want in business and life, and then help you reach those goals. Come check us out at rethinkcoaching.com/group-program. That's rethinkcoaching.com/group-program. We'll see you there.